Padres, which, we're not going to talk about the whole team, but you have to talk about the Padres as you talk about the Dodgers because it is the best rivalry, I think, in baseball right now, even more than the Yankees and the Red Sox. I know
I agree.
You're wearing the shirt. It's hard to, but just it feels nasty. The excitement level of the players, it's just fun to watch. It's amazing when you look at what the Padres have lost. When you say they gained and lost Soto, obviously, basically the core of the Washington Nationals was there.
Yep.
We'll see some of their prospect losses down the road, but we know what they just traded for as far as DeVries, and then Robbie Snelling is quickly emerging. I'm a Marlins fan. I'm biased. He's quickly emerging as one of the best left-handed prospects in baseball. Tanner Scott's not on the team anymore.
Right.
I mean, they really lost a lot of guys, both prospect-wise and then guys that they got.
Padre too?
That was the Rise trade. So he's obviously panning out pretty well for the Miami Marlins right now. But they've lost guys from the system, and they lost guys that they acquired, or they got them for short term. It didn't work. And now they're back to square one. But even with all those, I'm not questioning the process on them, but just things that didn't turn out the way they planned them to turn out, they're still right there as one of the best teams in baseball and going toe-to-toe with the Dodgers. So what is it about the Padres that's allowing them to keep pace in this situation while having some pretty bad misses?
Good players, like an ability to identify and kind of have good players play well in your organization while they're there. I think the Padres have gone through, understandably, like kind of peaks and valleys to this process. But for the most part, the one thing that's been wildly consistent with the Padres is that they're going to be aggressive in turning over their roster. A lot of trades. They make a ton of trades. And you can still net out on the better side of this, even if there's some really talented players going out the door. You have to give to get to make trades. It's not, we don't live in this world, like the other 29 GMs are smart too. You're not just going to fleece everybody. So you have to give value, and sometimes you have to give more. Sometimes you have to be comfortable watching James Wood walk out the door because you're trying to get Juan Soto. Yeah, like on the other side of it, you can make your judgment on it, but you can't say that their front office doesn't act very aggressively with the window that they're in, with the young, controllable players that they have. They extend players. They make a lot of trades. They draft very well. They just do a lot of things well on the player personnel side of things and the player identification side of things that helps their general manager make a lot of deals. So they just have a lot of currency, kind of. And I don't like to think of players as just like assets or currency, but they stack a lot of good players and they package them together to make trades for more right now major league needs. So they do have the current window currently grasped in their focus. They don't seem like the team that's trying to play it for 3 to 5 years, but they're also extending Machado, they're extending Tatís, they're signing Bogarts to a huge free agency deal, and those have worked to varying degrees. But also, one thing that really stands out about the Padres is Manny Machado. Like, you talk about one consistent theme throughout this whole era of Padres baseball, it's Legend of Dade, Manny Machado, right? Yep. Like this, he's just been remarkably consistent. He's come up a lot in the Twitter sphere. Is he in the Harper and Trout category of like guys that he traveled with, like, and his staying power in the game right now?
Yeah, games played. I'd be curious to stack those three.
Talk about
up
a guy
next to
that
each
posts.
other.
We've talked about this before, but I have also heard from enough teammates of his now to talk about what he represents in terms of not only showing by example and posting, but also just as a guy you can win ball games with. Definitely a guy with an edge.
Yep.
Right. So it's not a guy without his I don't want to say controversy. I do think players have to have an edge. Right. Like the right players have that, just like killer instinct is overly used, and it's not exactly that, but it's some version of that. And I think he's just been providing significant value on both sides of the ball for a long time and provided remarkable consistency for them that allows, I don't know, you always have your dude in the middle of the lineup there and in the middle of your clubhouse. That's been remarkably consistent for them. So shout out to them for selecting that player to kind of grow their team around. I
just pulled it up just to see with those 3 games played, and both of them, they're very similar. Manny made his debut at 19 in 2012. Trout, 2011 as a 19-year-old. Bryce Harper, 2012 as a 19-year-old. First of all, incredible. They all debuted as teenagers. I mean, just shows you the talent level of this cohort. But really, they're all the same age, give or take. And then I looked at games played. Manny, 1859. Mike Trout, who was the first one to debut a year earlier than everybody else, 1614. Bryce Harper, 1749. So basically an entire season for Manny Machado. Same age as Harper, a year younger in terms of debut, at least a year earlier, I should say. Trout debuted. So it's amazing to see just the consistency of posting and then performance. It's just been, he's in that conversation. I think it's a fair conversation. He's got more WAR. I know it's not end all be all, but just looking at pulling these up, he's got significantly more WAR than Bryce Harper right now, about almost 10 more. Mike Trout was such a machine. I mean, first in the league for 5 straight years, but he's catching up.
We're sleeping on Mike Trout. Like it's not, that's the fact that these 3 guys are bunched together just shows you like it is possible to have remarkable impact across a long space of time and still be, in Machado's case today, right now, as relevant to that San Diego Padres team as any other player on that roster, maybe short of Tatís. Tatís is just a monster too.
Right.
So like Tatís deserves his credit and all this. But yeah, I think if you are the Dodgers, you're definitely looking at the Padres as like, and it was the case last year too, where their hardest series was the Padres. I felt like once you get to the other side of beating the Padres, you feel like you can beat any club in baseball. And it came down to like an out, 2 outs at the end of it. So, yeah, the Padres they're here and they're here for a little while, with some really elite performers, and they were really active at the deadline. Their deadline acquisitions have moved the needle for them. Like their holes have been shored up with their deadline acquisition. That's really all you can ask for. And I think on the other side of it, with the Dodgers, it's kind of like a semi-disappointing deadline. If you just look at, Brock Stewart, I think is the which has one of the better 4-seamers in all of baseball. So it seemed like a very smart upside play for the Dodgers. He's probably going to be really good for the Dodgers as well. I think he's hurt right now. But that was kind of the extent of their deadline, even though they added James Tibbs and Dustin May, like in the Dustin May deal with the Red Sox, who looks great as a Red Sox so far. But I think the Padres on the other side of that, they were very aggressive at the deadline in attacking their needs and had the trade assets to make it happen. So it's kind of hard to decide which is more favorable. That's why I think it's the National League is where it's at. I think the winner of this matchup right here, the Dodgers-Padres, is the one we're going to see in the World Series.